All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Dallas Cowboys team owner Jerry Jones has never shied away from attempting to keep his beloved franchise in the spotlight. But so far this offseason, the Cowboys have simply been flying under the radar. The Cowboys have hardly been active in free agency, as their biggest claim is that they brought back running back Ezekiel Elliott after letting him walk last offseason. Running back Tony Pollard is now a Tennessee Titan, and wide receiver Michael Gallup is a Las Vegas Raider. Now, one big signing for the Cowboys didn't have to do with a player, as they brought in Mike Zimmer, former Cincinnati Bengals head coach, pardon me, former Minnesota Vikings head coach, excuse me, to be their defensive coordinator as he replaced Dan Quinn, who is now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. But then we saw an underwhelming performance, in my opinion, last month at the NFL draft by the Dallas Cowboys, which used to be a strength of this team. We knew coming into this offseason, Dallas was going to be limited in their cap space. And, that's really hamstringing them right now. And, because of that, they really have not been active in free agency as they need to be. You look at this Cowboys team, very top heavy right now. Okay. We know about Dak Prescott's contract. And at the end of the day, if Dak gets a new deal with the Cowboys, it's probably going to be even bigger than the one that he has now. And it's one of those, people have made fun of Jerry Jones, for his all-in comments, this, that, and the third. I really don't see where it could happen for this Cowboys team because they already don't have a lot of cap flexibility. Okay. And we know about Dak's big cap hit as he's counting towards this year's cap nearly 22% all by himself. But then, Dallas is going to have some huge questions to answer after the season because it's not just about Dak. You got CD Lambs, who is a top five at the very least wide receiver in the National Football League. CD Lamb, in my opinion, he's right up there in that category with your Justin Jeffersons, with your Jamar Chases, with your Tyreek Hills. CD is right there. Okay, you just look back to this past season, what he did for Dallas: 135 catches, nearly 1,800 yards receiving, and of course 12 touchdowns. And he's showing that he is, and he's been showing. Okay, not just last season, that he is more than worthy of being a part of that famed 88 club at wide receiver for Dallas. But nonetheless, the Cowboys are going to have to pay him. What are they going to do about Micah Parsons as well with his contract? Okay, so it's one of those where people have thrown out the rumor maybe the Cowboys move on from Dak. I don't see it happening. Honestly, at the end of the day, I feel that the Cowboys are stuck with Dak, and Dak knows that. So because of that, Dak is going to go out there and try to milk Dallas for every single dollar that he could possibly get come contract time. And it's unfortunate. And I say unfortunate from the standpoint that the Cowboys really have not been able to go out there and get any talent. Remember, they let Ezekiel Elliott go after the 2022 season. And of course, he ended up with the New England Patriots. Of course, a less than stellar year for Zeke. And with the Patriots, of course, New England had so many issues on offense. Big reason why Bill Belichick is no longer their head coach. But nonetheless, Zeke's last year in Dallas wasn't that great either. So, 2 years removed from that, what makes you think that all of a sudden Zeke is going to find the fountain of youth and be the Zeke Elliott that we remember him being his first couple of years in the league? He's not that guy anymore. Okay. And, going back to the draft, this used to be a strength of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Especially, in the 2010s. It's as an example, especially with their first round picks. And it's one of those where if I'm a Cowboys fan, I really can't get excited from what I saw from this team at the NFL draft last month. I think it's going to be, in my opinion, I know that the start of the season, was about 4 months away, give or take, but I still think that it's going to be more of the same old. Whereas Dallas is going to be able to beat up on the bad teams because their quarterback, excels against the bad teams. And I think the gap, because of their inactivity in free agency, as well as a bad draft or not a great draft, in my opinion, is going to help to widen that gap between the contending teams in the NFC and everybody else. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, who have knocked it out of the park this offseason, okay, as well as in the draft and free agency, okay. You look at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers know that they are one of the smaller market teams in the NFL. They have to continue to draft well, and they've also had some very good signings, bringing in the likes of Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. All right, you look at the Detroit Lions. The Lions have gotten better. The Vikings are looking to get better. I'm not saying that the Vikings are a contender to win the NFC, but I'm just saying, using that as an example, they've gotten better. The Falcons are looking to get better as well. And then you got the Niners, and then you got the Rams, and even Arizona Cardinals are looking to get better. So my point is this: Dallas is falling behind, in my opinion, the other contending teams in the NFC, especially the Green Bay Packers, which I feel like the Packers and Eagles should be the litmus test right there, due to the fact that we saw what the Packers just did to the Cowboys this past January on their own home field in the postseason. And of course, the battles that the Cowboys have had with the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's one of those where Dallas, by default, is going to be the second best team in the NFC East, in my opinion, because I don't see the Giants or Commanders being contenders this year. Prove me wrong. But nonetheless, is that going to be enough for them to get to the postseason? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, it's they're in a tough spot financially, and that's the biggest thing. And it's one of those where they've backed themselves into this corner. You really can't feel sorry for them, and this is why they're in the predicament, in my opinion, that they are. So, I mean, again, if I'm a Cowboys fan, can't really be excited from what I've seen so far this season. I mean, you had a scenario where they could have had Derrick Henry on the cheap. I mean, it only cost the Baltimore Ravens 16 million for 2 years to sign the future Hall of Fame running back, and the Cowboys couldn't even come close to matching that, just due to their financial instability or lack of flexibility, for that matter. So, nonetheless, with a limited offseason for the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to be very tough for people in general to get excited for that team. But nonetheless, let's see if Dallas can try to put it together when the season rolls around. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.